Welcome to episode 63 of our series on the surnames of Appalachia and the American South. I'm glad you're joining me today, so let's get started. Number 1, Burton. With a Welsh fellow like the late actor Richard Burton as my reference for this surname, I was left wondering if the family name of the former husband of the English-born actress Elizabeth Taylor was Welsh. As it turns out, Burton is found in Wales and Ireland, but it's an English toponymic. It's quite common in northern and central England. It was given to a person who lived in or near a fort with an enclosure. I couldn't find it among the traditional surnames of Scotland, so I'm confident that while Richard Burton was a proud Welshman, his name was of English origin. But that's not a surprise, really. English overlords pushed English or anglicized surnames on the population of Wales beginning in the 15th century. Your paper trail, however, might just lead you to Ireland. It's been in County Cork for hundreds of years. Number 2, Windolph. When I received this request, I immediately recalled several German immigrants who served in the 7th Cavalry, and one of them was Sergeant Charles Windolph. He died in 1950, some 74 years after the Battle of Little Bighorn, in which he was a veteran. In 1947, he was asked to be the primary source for a book on his experiences with Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn, and I contend that his account is one of the best books on the battle. Most people believe that all of Custer's men were killed on Last Stand Hill, but that's just not true. There were 402 men who fought at the Little Bighorn and survived. That's the 7th Cavalry soldiers, that is. You know, we don't know how many natives died because they didn't keep records of them. And they certainly wouldn't want to brag about it anyway. But anyway, Windolph not only survived the battle, but he was also awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroic acts, mostly getting water for the injured by scampering down to the river and sneaking buckets of water back up the hill. Very dangerous. Anyway, the Medal of Honor recipient was born in Bergen, Germany in 1826. The best that I can tell is that his surname means the wind of the majestic wolf. Windolph, like our next surname, came straight to America from the continent in the 1800s. Number 3, Schinkel. Schinkel or Schinkle. As I alluded to a second ago, Schinkle is a German surname. According to Hans Ballo, it was given to a person with an exceptional leg. Now what does that mean? I have no idea. I won't go there. Anyway, also, like Windolph, Schinkel came straight to America from the continent. You might be wondering, why don't you just say Germany, Van? Well, it's because in 1815 to 1848, there were 39 different German-speaking sovereign countries in Central Europe. The German Empire was formed in 1871 after the Franco-Prussian War. Windolph was not born in Germany, but Lower Saxony. You might find it interesting that forms of the German language are also spoken in Austria, Switzerland, Benelux countries. Some people like to point out that Adolf Hitler was Austrian, not German. Well, he was born on the border with Austria and Germany. But more importantly, to Hitler at least, it was an ethnically German region of Austria. Number 4, McFarlin, McFarlan, McFarlan, McFarlan. This Scottish surname has been in the Scottish records since 1385. George Fraser Black says it was derived from an old Irish name which comes from the biblical Bartholomew. Please don't confuse McFarlane with the Irish Parlin. They're different names. McLysa calls McFarlan a Scottish surname, so I think we are more than safe in calling McFarlan a Scottish surname. Number 5, Manning. Unless you've never watched a college or NFL football game or a TV commercial on a sports channel like ESPN, you will have heard of a slow-talking fellow with lots of wit and wisdom named Peyton Manning. If you're a Tennessee Vols fan, you may remember his jersey number 16. Well, when he landed with the Colts, he chose number 18. Interestingly, the number 16 became associated with a Knoxville-born Manning fan named William Trevor Lawrence. Trevor was born in 1999. That was Peyton's second year with the Colts, by the way. Lawrence won the college football national championship at Clemson in 2018. He's now the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he still wears a number 16. The closest that I ever got to the Manning family was when I drove to work to Delta State University in Mississippi. I had to pass through the small town of Drew, Mississippi every day. That's where Archie Manning was born and raised. At any rate, the Manning surname is an anglicized form of the Irish Gaelic. Interestingly, it's an English surname, but I couldn't find it in Harrison's Surnames of the United Kingdom. So I'll side with the Dictionary of American Family Names and call Manning an anglicized Irish surname. Number 6, Pendleton. This is a surname with which I am familiar, but I've never met a person who bore it. For some reason, it reminded me of Gomer Pyle, USMC, golly, Sergeant Carter, and his equally fictitious Marine Corps Camp Henderson, that's located in a very real California. The reason why it stirred that recollection from the deep recesses of my childhood memories is because of Camp Pendleton. It's the major West Coast Marine base, and it's located in California. The surname is an English toponymic from Lancashire and another place near Manchester in England. I couldn't find Pendleton among the traditional surnames of Wales, Ireland, or Scotland, so I'm confident that Pendleton is an English family name. 7. Pogue or Poke or Pogue. This Yorkshire, England surname has an Old Norse or Viking equivalent name, Pokey. This was exciting for me because Pokey means pouch or bag. If your family used poke for a bag, please let me know in the comments section. I asked that because when I was small, I was my maternal grandfather's shadow. Pop was also a flirt, so I remember one time when he was kidding around with a cashier in a grocery store, he asked her for a poke for his potatoes. That was the first time I'd ever heard a bag called a poke. I wonder if the use of that word was common among other folks in southern Appalachia. I appreciate any light you can shine on the use of poke as another word for bag. Before you chalk it up as an English or Viking surname, note that poke or Pogue are also found in Ulster in the records there that date back to 1660. That's the late plantation era, by the way, of the Stuarts. In Ireland, they are used in lieu of Pollock, so they could have a different origin story to the English version. I couldn't find Pogue among the traditional surnames of Scotland or Wales, so I'm confident that your line will lead you to Northern England or Ireland, unless, of course, there was some hanky-panky in your old family tree. Number 8, Kennedy. Folks, I make no secret that I love America and its traditions, but I have grave concerns about the future of our country. With that said, there was a time when most of our elected officials on either side of the political aisle likewise loved our country, its people, and its traditions. Now, I've studied John F. Kennedy for most of my life, and I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that I believe that while he had women issues, he loved our country and its people. Maybe sometimes too much, if you know what I mean, according to Bill Clinton, that is. Anyway, the slain president had a collection of advisors that some folks called the Irish Mafia. They included his brother Bobby, Kenneth O'Donnell, Larry O'Brien, and David Powers. JFK was also labeled an Irish Catholic, but was his surname of Irish origin? Yes, it was. Kennedy is a more English-friendly spelling of, which means ugly head. Kennedy is also found in Scotland, but according to McLeisick, the Scottish Kennedys were once Irish Gaels. As I show in my video on King James and the Ulster Plantation, there have always been movements back and forth between Scotland and Ireland. In case you want to check out that video for yourself, I'll create a link for it in the description. Well, folks, I hope you got something meaningful out of today's show. Please remember that I have about 70 other videos posted on the Vanntage Point that are about other aspects of cultural history, climate and weather, and natural disasters. Those topics are near and dear to my heart, so I hope you'll check them out. If demand continues to warrant it, I'll return soon with another episode of the Vanntage Point. Until I see you again, may the good Lord bless and keep you. May He make His face shine on you and give you peace. Bye-bye.